Hello, Craig.
Hello, Colin.
We are taking a break from the MCU because it is getting a little exhausting. And this time we're going to be redoing our TOS Star Trek movies because I believe you and Daniel covered this last year, but you did 2 movies per episode. So now this time around, Craig, we're just going to do 1 movie per episode so that we can give more in-depth analysis and just talk about what we liked and didn't like about the movie. Now, with that being said, Craig, we are talking about Star Trek, the Motion Picture, which came out in 1979. It is the first movie for Star Trek. So, Craig, unless you have any background info you want to say?
Have you looked up any of the background info for this? Because
Yes,
you could do
yes.
almost a whole episode about the production from when the show ended to when the movie came out. There's a whole
Yes.
chunk of stuff that happened.
So, I guess, do you want to talk about that real quick and then we'll say what we like about the movie?
Yeah, so I guess a brief synopsis for those who don't know. After the original series ended in 1969, it got turned to a cult following through syndication or reruns, and eventually got popular enough where Gene Roddenberry came back and they were talking about should we continue the TV show or do a movie. I think he first pitched a movie, and I think it was going nowhere. It wasn't really doing all that well. And they said, let's try to turn it back into a TV show called Phase 2. They're going to have a bunch of new characters, basically what TNG became. And then that ended up not working out, so they ended up going back to the movie, reusing concepts from the Phase 2, and then it became the movie.
Well, there
And
was
there's
going to
lots of
be
other stuff
some of
too.
the original cast in Phase 2, so you're wrong there. But I believe it said the character Decker was turned into, as Decker, Aaliyah, and somebody else was turned into Data, Riker, and Deanna Troi. So everything else you said was correct. It was supposed to be called Phase 2. And then the success of Star Wars and Close Encounters of the Third Kind convinced Paramount to do a Star Trek movie, which is supposed to have a very modest budget, but then the budget ballooned to $44 million. And when you watch this movie, you can kind of tell how expensive it is. There's a lot of lingering shots that show off the effects back then, I guess you could say. Because it said the original, when they announced the movie, the budget was projected at $15 million. So I don't know what happened where it got to $44 million, which, if anyone doesn't know anything, back then that is a lot of money for a movie. Now that's chump change for a movie, but back then that was a lot. So, Craig, what did you think of Star Trek The Motion Picture, with all that being said?
It's called the motionless picture for a reason. I don't really like it all that much. I don't hate it. I think people love it a lot, and I think it's very boring. I don't think the movie does itself any favors either with its concept or the editing, or it's really boring.
I think this movie would have worked a lot more if it was a very breezy 90 minutes. It is 132 minutes long, and I don't hate it as much as you. I thought it was okay.
I
But
didn't say I
yes,
hated it.
I know. But I think I'm probably more positive viewing it than you. I enjoyed it a little bit. I don't know what it was. I wasn't too bored watching it. I think so. The first Star Trek thing I ever saw was Beyond, and that was 2016, and we saw in theaters together. So I saw the movies first before any of the TV shows. This past year, I saw all of TOS, and I'm currently on season 2 of TNG. And so I love the TOS. It's great. So this does feel like a TOS episode just stretched out entirely, like stretched out where it's begging for its life to stop the stretching.
Again, I feel like yeah, you're right. It does feel like a long episode, which isn't a bad thing. I just wish it was more of a traditional episode because there's some weird stuff in the movie, like with Decker and Captain Kirk usurping his command, and it just becomes a little uncomfortable and it's really slow. I mean, there's the scene where they show the shot of the Enterprise. I guess they're showing off their really good model, which good for them, but I don't think it needs to be like almost a 5 minute sequence dedicated to them boarding the ship.
Yeah, that beauty pass scene was too long, and I don't know how long it really is.
No, it's about 5 minutes. I
It's about five
remember.
minutes. They could have cut it down to a minute and a half. But they really wanted to show off the detailed new Enterprise model, which I do like. I think, after watching all TOS, Craig, I still think the first Enterprise model is my favorite. Probably this Enterprise from the movies, and then maybe the Abrams. I don't really like the Enterprise D that much. It looks weird.
Yeah, I've never been a fan either. I know people say it's supposed to look like a cruise ship in space, but I still don't, that doesn't make it any better. I don't like it.
But I do like this new Enterprise model. It's pretty good. And the detailing on it is really great because you could see the individual paneling on some shots. So that's a nice attention to detail. But again, we don't need a 5 minute beauty pass scene of Kirk and Scotty looking at the ship in awe. That must have been the most boring thing for Shatner and James Doohan to film. They're just staring at a blue screen.
But 'cause I remember when I first watched this, I remember at some point I started to look at my phone or look at the time because like, is this really going on for 5 minutes? And it was. And I know they're saying it's different if you were a fan of the original series and you were to watch this to see how well because if you ever watched, because I think the ones we watched on either Netflix, wherever you watched it, they replaced a lot of the original shots with new CGI shots from the 90s, I believe.
See,
Or
I watched it the original shots, and I feel
okay,
like
so
that is so much better because it's jarring when you listen. The original Star Trek was crude. I think everybody knows that the effects weren't that great, but it's jarring. I tried watching it on Paramount Plus, and they have only the remasters from either the late '90s or early 2000s, and it looks terrible.
really?
I don't like it because it's a complete contrast to the show and the quality of the show, like
It is,
visual
but
quality.
well, at least for me, I've gotten used to because that's kind of the same shots as TNG and Deep Space Nine and Voyager. So it looks similar to that. So I'm kind of used to when they
Oh
have the
no, I
shot,
didn't
the
see. Yeah, see, I didn't like that at all. The new CGI stuff.
well, I'm just saying, to me, it's just I'm probably more used to it than you because I've seen another show, so seeing it in one more show doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, I guess. Did they do that for TNG too on Paramount Plus, where they replaced a lot of the shots with CGI, or is that only the TOS they did that with?
I think it was only TOS because I think those at the time was I don't think they've redone those shots. I think
Okay.
it's the same. Anyway, I could be
It's
wrong,
it's
but
distracting to me because I'm just like, oh my god, why is that hyper detailed? The original model's fine; it all fits, it all looks great. Even for its time, I thought it looked good too. The Enterprise shots, sure, you could see some of the spill from the blue screen onto the Enterprise model, but it looked good for its time.
I think too, it was a sci-fi show on television, which television usually has lower budgets, right? So you're
Yes, I
not going
mean
to be
even back
getting,
then too. It's not like today. So you said you didn't like Kirk taking control and usurping essentially Decker. Why?
yes. It just felt weird because they were, especially coming off the original series where Kirk was obsessive about being in command. Like, some Commodore would come onto the ship and the Commodore would take him. And you remember that episode with, it was a Commodore Perry who wanted to destroy that Doomsday device?
Yeah, and he usurps Kirk.
Yeah, where you're not really supposed to sympathize with that. It's not like William Decker was even doing a bad job or was acting erratic. Kirk just really wanted to get back into the chair, which I understand, but I feel like there's better ways to do it, like in Star Trek 2.
I didn't mind it as much because for this, I kind of took it as Captain Kirk is having a midlife crisis, kind of. Or all he wants to do is just be in command of the Enterprise. To him, that's all he knows and what he wants. And he just took the opportunity with V'ger. At the time, they didn't know what it was, the giant space cloud. So I didn't mind it that much. Dare I say, Craig, Kirk's kind of thing, his whole arc or story in search of purpose mirrors V'ger. I think that's what they were going with.
Probably, but maybe it's not fair because I've seen the other movies more, but I always think of Star Trek 2 where they do have that kind of similar, like Kirk trying to find purpose.
Well, that was
And I
more
think
about
that
him
movie does.
aging. This is
Yeah, but
about more or
also,
less him finding purpose. I think that's. I didn't mind Kirk's whole thing in this movie. Please sit down, Spock.
Will you please sit down?
What else, Craig? What else you got?
well, I think we everybody would agree that the outfits are terrible.
Yes. I don't know why they just didn't bring back a quote unquote modernized version of what they wore on the original show. I think it's iconic for a reason. And then
Well,
the costumes don't get any better in the movies from here on out, at least in the original movies.
yeah, because I
And
don't know,
even the next generation movies.
I like the classic suit with the bands on it. I know the material isn't the best in the original series, but it looks well enough. This looks like straight pajamas, like someone just wore pajamas on set.
Well, I bet you the actors preferred wearing this over what they would wear in the rest of the original movies. Those stuffy, heavy kind of Red Admiral
Sure,
costumes.
sure, but this is, I think, in the opposite direction where it's too
No,
comfy.
I'm just saying the actors probably like this more. What else,
And
Craig? What else this
what do you
movie?
have for me? It's not just about
I
me.
thought like I said, I kind of enjoyed it because, like I said, I saw Star Trek Beyond first, and then I think I saw the Abram movies, and then I saw all the rest of the movies except Nemesis. Still have never seen Nemesis, but I remember when I first watched it, I was bored. But since I've seen all of TOS, I think I appreciate this a little bit more. Now, I'm not going to say that is it the best Star Trek movie, no, but at least in terms of the TOS movies. Maybe this is the most like it, or even the fourth one. I haven't seen all of them too many times. I think this is probably the second time I've seen this movie. So I have to rewatch the rest of the movies, honestly, because I've only seen Wrath of Khan the most and The Undiscovered Country the most.
I mean, I guess I can agree that it's most like the show, but I feel like that's also a problem because of how short the premise is.
Yeah, this movie is definitely too long.
Now, what do you suggest we do? Spank it.
And like I said, if it was a nice 90 minutes, I think it would have been a lot better because then they could cut out some of those self-indulgence of showing off the Enterprise. And even when they're inside of V'ger, there are too many just long shots. We get it. V'ger's huge. They mentioned it in the movie how big V'ger is, and
My God, over 82 AUs in diameter.
they mentioned 82 AU, and I had to look that up. And isn't that
Astronomical units.
yeah? So
Do you know
anyone
how
doesn't know what that is? It's the average distance between the Earth and the Sun is an astronomical unit.
I actually knew that because I took an astronomy
Well, I
class.
know you did, but just the audience. So 82 is unimaginably big.
Yeah.
Unimaginably. So for context, I just put this in ChatGPT. Neptune orbits at about 30 AU from the sun. Pluto is 39. So Voyager 1, the farthest human-made object, is currently over 160 AU away. So yeah, V'ger is bigger than the size of Pluto to the sun. Put that into context.
I mean, that's what our solar system, if you're to go from end to end,
Yeah,
it's larger
huge.
than that.
So we don't need to see all these giant shots of the Enterprise inside of V'ger because they already told us how big V'ger is. And maybe they could have put it in layman's terms because I did not know what an AU was. I had to look it up. I'm a dummy. But maybe they could have just said, I don't know, kilometers. I mean, I guess that wouldn't help because that'd be huge.
No, you'd have to use AU because you don't want to say 10 to the 18th power kilometers.
93 million miles.
I mean, they're in space, right? They probably use something
Yeah, I know.
nautical.
I'm just saying maybe to the people who don't know what an AU is. But yeah.
AU. How about a light year? Light year is a unit of distance, not time. I think it was in Star Wars they use it as
Parsec. Parsec.
Oh, parsec, yeah.
So what did you think of Spock in this movie?
It was like a classic Spock storyline. It's not really all that new. Most adaptations of Spock or stories of Spock always involve him trying to purge his human half or like be more Vulcan. Then he's realized like, okay, well, I guess I'll keep my human half. It's not the end of the world. I like my crew.
So I wonder why they went this direction of kind of reintroducing Spock, because it kind of feels like a reset from the TOS, where
Yeah.
gradually there's those glimpses of his human coming out. Of course, everyone's favorite, Jim!
Jim!
When he's surprised to see Kirk after he thought he killed them. So it does feel like a reset. And then he has that ceremony in the beginning to purge all of his emotion, but he couldn't because he was thinking about whatever the V'ger coming.
I just feel like I've seen this storyline too many times, not just in this movie, but like in shows and other forms of media, where he was always trying to get rid of his human half, and then he always comes back to thinking it's useful.
Yeah, I wish they just kind of had Spock there from the start as Spock from what we know him as.
Yeah.
Of course, you could bring Bones in the same direction or the same way, where he's grumpy. But I don't know if I like what they did with Spock. I could understand maybe what they were trying to do, but like you said, it's a standard Spock storyline.
Maybe it
And-
was meta because this was the time period where Leonard Nimoy was writing that book that I'm not Spock, and then he ended up liking Spock again. So maybe it was a little meta. He was rejecting Spock, then he ended
Oh.
up embracing Spock again.
Rejecting logic and embracing his humanity. Okay.
Well, because then he wrote that book I'm not Spock. Then he ended up writing a new book saying I am Spock.
I couldn't even tell you if I'm being honest.
Well, from what I remember, after the show, I think his portrayal of Spock was so popular, he ended up hating it because like I'm more than just Spock. Stop looking at me as just Spock. But I think he ended up coming to terms and accepting that people loved his portrayal of Spock and was not as upset by it.
I guess. I don't know. You seem more well researched in Leonard Nimoy than me.
I don't know. I've seen jokes about his I'm Not Spock book. He actually wrote a book saying I'm not Spock. I never read it, but I've seen the title and I know, I guess, the very basic premise of it.
So you said that this is, or we both said kind of that this is like a extended episode of the series. What did you think of V'ger and the whole storyline behind V'ger?
Honestly, I didn't really care for it. I don't think it's as interesting as maybe they could have made it to be. So they send out a probe and the probe gets modified by some aliens.
After it
and
got
ends up
stuck into a black hole, yeah.
Yeah, ends up achieving sentience. And then it doesn't really know that it tries to fulfill its purpose and it doesn't really have much purpose anymore. It's like, I guess. But I don't know. If they maybe had V'ger interacting more or just something to kind of give it more of a character, or maybe you could sympathize with it.
Well, I
'Cause
guess
towards the end of
that's-
the movie, we realized that it was a probe that
Yeah.
gained sentience.
I don't want to say it's like a contradiction, but it's a robot, which everyone thinks that robots can't achieve emotions, but it wants to search for more. It wants to know the meaning of especially life and what it's created for, but it can't really. And its search for its meaning is kind of paralleling, like I said earlier, with what Kirk was going through. So I guess maybe they probably set up that premise from the start, maybe, and then they wanted to use the Voyager, which was what Voyager is short for.
Which
Which
is pretty
honestly,
topical at the time.
yes, I was gonna say, I think they said they released the Voyager 1 and 2 in 1977, and they didn't start filming this a year later, so that's pretty cool that it was topical for its time with the Voyager. Yeah, it is meant to follow the real Voyager 1 and 2 missions. Definitely not the most, I guess you could say, memorable kind of Star Trek adversary, or even from the movies, like that kind of villain. It's not as memorable as General Chang quoting Shakespeare in the Klingon tongue or anything like that, or Khan. But I think it's a, I don't know, it's mostly like the TOS, like we said earlier. That kind of, it's not a big bombastic finale. It's just more it makes you think a little bit. Now,
Yeah,
whether
again, my complaint is not that
no, I
I
wasn't gonna say.
like Star Trek.
Yeah. I was gonna say whether or not it was done well is another story, but
Yes,
I
because
know what you're gonna say. Yeah.
yeah, it's not that it's not that it's not actiony enough for me. It's more of I don't think it's the best episode that they could have written a
Yes.
movie about.
Yes. Well, I guess that begs the question. It's pretty hard to kind of create a whole premise for a movie when the show is just about exploration and learning about, humanity and other cultures and what makes us human. What can you really do for a whole plot of a movie?
Yeah, I understand, but then that's we're not being paid to make that decision.
Oh, no, I know. But I could sympathize with the issue because could you take the best hits of season 1 and 2 from the original series and then just copy one of those episodes and turn it into a movie? You probably could, but it wouldn't be any good. I
Well,
know
I
Quentin
think
Tarantino was obsessed with doing Spectre of the Gun, I think, or was that? No, that's another episode. There's
I thought it was
as an
the
episode
one,
from season 2, I think.
where the girl died, and because she died, was they lost World War II, the
No,
U.S.
not that episode. He wanted to do the one where this alien culture found stuff from 1930s mob world, and they based their whole kind of
Oh,
world off of that. He wanted to do some movie like that, not the what was that episode called?
not the Nazi planet.
No, not the Nazi planet, or oh god, the
City on
gym.
the Edge of
Yes,
Forever.
yeah, not that episode. Which is, by the way, I think that's the best Star Trek episode.
Really?
I do think so. Yeah, that's my favorite one of honestly the whole series.
Jim, Edith Keeler must die. Let's get the hell out of here.
I wrote down a list, Craig, of my top 3 favorite Star Trek episodes from the seasons. I could tell you real quick if you would like.
Yes. Well, don't tell me the name. Just tell me the premise because I don't know any of their names.
Oh god, I don't remember the premise. I just wrote down the names. The first one was, I gotta pull it up.
Well, because even Dana will tell me episode names, and I'm sorry, I don't remember any of the episode names.
The first one I have is episode 10, the Corbomite Maneuver. The Enterprise is menaced by a gigantic alien ship whose commander condemns the crew to death. The alien ship appears all-powerful, and the alien commander refuses all attempts at negotiation, forcing Kirk to employ an unorthodox strategy to save the ship. It's the one where they go on the ship, and at the end it's a kid who uses a puppet to talk to the Enterprise and menace them.
Oh yeah, the really bad puppet.
Yeah. This is in no order. Obviously, my other one is Space Seed with Khan for season 1, and then my last one is The City on the Edge of Forever. In my Godzilla episode, Craig, I don't know if you watched the whole thing. I did include a little clip from that episode where he says, "Jim, Edith Keeler must die," but I replaced Edith Keeler with Mothra in context of the game.
Jim
Mothra
must die.
Season 2, Craig, Amok Time, episode 1. I think you know which one that is.
Which one was that?
Jim at the end.
Jim!
Oh.
The Vulcan ritual. My other one is Mirror Mirror, which was they're teleporting back to the Enterprise, but then something happens where there's a mirror universe.
Yes, that's what started the trend for bad guys having goatees. That's how you know it was evil Spock. 'Cause he had a goatee.
And the one we talked about earlier, I like the Doomsday Machine.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites.
And then for season 3 was hard to pick some, Craig. I'll tell you, when I was watching it for the first time, it was a little rough.
Well, like Spock's brain.
Like Spock's brain, yes. My first pick is the Enterprise incident. They essentially try to take a Romulan cloaking device.
Yeah, that was a good one.
The other one is Spectre of the Gun, which is they're forced to reenact the shootout with themselves. It's the very barren set they have with the red background.
Oh yeah.
And the last one I have is All Our Yesterdays, where Kirk, Spock, and McCoy are trapped in the past on a world threatened by a supernova.
Now, this one episode I've always liked. It's probably one of my favorites. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's definitely one of my favorites from the original series. The title is A Taste of Armageddon. That's the episode
Oh, was that the
where,
one where the computers are having that war and then these people are selecting themselves to die?
yes, and then Kirk says, "I'm not dying," and then he destroys their machine, saying, "Do you guys actually kill each other or you make peace?"
Yeah, that was a great. Was that season 1?
It was because remember people said it was controversial. Kirk ordered like General Order, whatever.
You heard me give General Order 24. That means in 2 hours, the Enterprise will destroy Emini 7.
Whatever number that was, and he's saying they were to like destroy the planet if you kill my crew.
Yeah, that was a good episode. I thought, okay, so I don't know if this is controversial. I think I told you this. I think season 1 is the best. Not because it's the first, but it seems like they have the most consistent quality episodes.
Yeah, like that, or I know there's a lot of good season 2 episodes.
Season
three
2 is pretty good too.
Yeah.
And they brilliantly reused the original pilot in season 1 with the Merengue, which is a 2-parter, but it was the one where Spock looks like he's kidnapping Admiral Pike,
Yeah.
and then they just intercut that with them showing the whole episode, essentially. I wish we weren't talking about the movie. I wish we were talking about the TOS, Craig, but...
Well, one more thing to mention was the Tribble episode. That's in season 2.
Yes, that is in season 2. Well, those are my picks in no particular order for my favorite Star Trek episodes from TOS. I only picked 3 per season because I wanted to be fair.
Why be fair? They're all the good ones are from season 1 and 2.
I know. But at least I wanted representation from all the seasons.
Yeah. Also, I do have a Tribble, so.
You do have a Tribble, yes. And we were talking about Phase 2, which had become this movie. So I think most people know that some of those Phase 2 scripts were repurposed into TNG episodes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And ironically, those episodes they repurposed were pretty bad. I have it right here in Wikipedia. The child is the one where Deanna Troi gets pregnant by something through osmosis, essentially, because it wants to like experience life or something. I feel like for season 1 of The Next Generation, Craig, a lot of it's just a giant blur. And I just watched this. Maybe I just finished it not even a week ago.
And there's also weird things that Gene Roddenberry was putting into the show. So I don't want to really bring it up right now, but he was pushing some of his weird ideas into the show.
Yeah. He was a weirdo in real life, to put it very
I think
mildly.
he had 2 women most of his life.
Yeah. Uhura was one of them, and Nurse Chapel. Nurse Chapel does come back in this. Spock's not happy to see McCoy, but I wish there was that reunion kind of feeling, because it's all straight to business.
But see, that's like the pro and the con, right? That's probably more of a realistic reaction.
Oh, yeah. They're not going to party. I don't know, but
Like
for
for
the
them, it's just a
fans,
job.
Craig. Because imagine being a big Star Trek fan in the 60s, right? And then 10 years later, because it was canceled in 1969, this movie comes out. You want to see the reunion of Kirk, Spock, and Bones, and even Nurse Chapel, because she was in the original series a lot. And you're just like, for me to go to my station, Captain. And that was it.
I know, but that's Spock.
I know that's Spock, and I know that's probably realistic, because they have a deadline, essentially. V'ger's going to come up to Earth in, 30-something hours, 40-something hours? So they couldn't fart around, but...
But that's what makes Star Trek different from Star. Like Star Wars really isn't sci-fi. I know we
No,
said
it's
this a million
fantasy.
times.
It's
It's
fantasy in
complete
space.
fantasy. Yeah, but they would have those kinds of moments. While Star Trek, it's more realistic. I hate using the word realistic, but that's what it feels like. It's
Professional, because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, they are working jobs. They're not just exploring on their free time. They have missions. And also, I didn't mind this, that the focus was mostly on the 3 of them, mostly on Kirk and even Decker. But like Chekhov and Uhura, Sulu, it was always like that in the show, so...
Yes, and I think me and Dano mentioned this when we talked about it, and I'll mention it again because it still shocks me that Sulu is famous from being Star Trek. He's like, oh, he's the Star Trek guy. And then when you watch the show and you watch the movies, you almost forget he's in them with how little he appears. And I get to the point like, how is he known as the Star Trek guy? He's not even in the show.
Yeah, he was... I want to say he was in a lot of the episodes, but his presence wasn't really there. He was never the focus. It was always Trifecta, it was Kirk, Spock, and Bones. And occasionally, Scotty, if anything, was kind of the 4th member of that trifecta.
Yeah.
And even honestly, you could say Nurse Chapel was shown more than Sulu and Chekhov.
That's why when people talk about Sulu, because you don't hear about Chekhov as the Star Trek guy. He's kind of like, okay, he's one of the crew, but not as important. Even Uhura, you don't really see her as not important, but you know what I mean? Like the actress is not the Star Trek guy. George Takei is for some reason known as the Star Trek guy. I'm like, he doesn't even appear in the show. He's probably the least important character in the cast.
Yeah.
I did mention you talked about his beef with William Shatner, and he mentioned in his autobiography that he didn't like the rewrites during production because they always favored Bill. It's like, oh, gee, the main character, they favored him.
Well, that whole beef between Shatner and George Takei could be a whole episode. It
We
is
need a series
crazy
breaking
how
down the
long
beef.
running it is. And you see the clips. I think I showed you and Daniel. There'd be clips where Shatner would say, like, I don't even know who he is. And obviously he's being facetious, but the point is that he was never around consistently like your Leonard Nimoy or your DeForest Kelly. He wasn't a mainstay like those three.
I don't know where George went because I don't know him.
Yeah, because I know his relationship with Spock was a little more up and down, but they all spent more time together, so they saw more of each other.
Yeah. So what do you think of Decker in this movie?
I thought he was fine. That's why I didn't really like the command being. I know you're saying it's because for Kirk's character, but he wasn't really doing a bad job. I feel like they revoked his command too soon because Kirk's got to be the captain. If Kirk's got to be the captain, just make him in charge.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he was getting upset though. You're not really being professional, Kirk, by taking my command for no reason.
Stop competing with me.
Stop competing with me, Decker.
Yeah, no, and I agree. There's really no reason for that.
Just
We were
don't
talking
look
before
up
about the
what this.
professionalism.
Just don't look up what the actor who played Decker has done. Just don't look that up for anyone watching.
Okay, I'm gonna look up right now.
Ugh. But yeah, I thought Decker was.
Jesus.
Did you read it? You thought I was joking.
Not that you were joking, but every time I had a feeling what it was going to be, I just wanted to see it for myself. I don't know why.
I thought he was like you said, an okay character. You kind of do understand his plight because he's been overseeing the new Enterprise refit, and then Kirk just shows up in a new toupee and he says, "This is my ship now." That was distracting me a little bit, how different Bill's toupee is in this than the TOS. Because in TOS it was brown, but it's kind of brown blondish.
We had a
And
toupee in TOS.
he did. And in
I
this
didn't know that.
one, it's curly. It's dark brown curly. So
I've always assumed it was just after the original series. I never knew it was
I think I saw a picture online of his toupee from TOS.
interesting.
What else you got for me, Craig?
Because I was also thinking, have you ever seen the movie Prometheus?
No.
That also had a similar premise where humans were trying to find their creators, the engineers in the alien universe. I did like that movie. I thought that movie did the finding your creator shtick a little better.
No, I haven't seen either of those.
Well, I would recommend Prometheus.
What else you got for me, Craig?
Well, this was the first movie that did the redesign for the Klingons.
Yes, it's
Remember
only
the
in-
originals?
Yeah, it was only in the beginning, really, because the original, I believe they didn't have that what Worf has on his head, kind of.
Yeah, the forehead ridges.
Yeah, they essentially just had like brown paint slapped onto them with like a mustache in TOS, right? If
I know,
remember correctly.
Yeah, it looked like it was like you put mud or dirt on their face and said, okay, you're a Klingon.
Yeah, and they had like bushy eyebrows.
Yeah, now it made them much different. It looks like they were wearing these leather samurai suits-ish.
Yeah, they have
And
those.
they're
ridges on
just a
their head.
completely different race.
Yeah, it looks a lot better with what they look like in this movie with their bigger budget. Because it makes them look more, not unique, but it makes them look a lot different than everybody. That's the whole point. They're aliens. Everyone's supposed to be looking a little different.
Because I know during the TV shows, you can't introduce a fantastical new race every single time. But every episode, right? Because how many episodes that look just like humans with like a little different smudge on their forehead?
Yeah,
But this is like one where I think you should have made them a little more different.
I agree. And did you also like the new Enterprise design?
Yeah, I do like the classic Enterprise. I mean, I think most Enterprises look good. Well, the Enterprise, the original, and the A.
Right. You don't like the Enterprise B, C, D, and E?
I do like the E. I know that's slightly controversial.
Yeah.
I really don't like the D. I know T and G stands love it, but I'm not really as much of a fan.
I think it just looks a little weird. And I know some people probably don't like it, but I like the Abrams one. I like that one. That's probably because that was the first Enterprise I saw, like for consistently. Because I always knew of Star Trek. I just never really watched it as a kid.
It was
Or
really
as
popular when we were
yeah.
young. Plus,
Yeah.
it's not really when they say it's something that's to show children, it's not because it's graphic, because they probably bored out of their mind.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to appreciate what Star Trek is.
Especially with its competition now, where Star Trek's slow comparatively to internet, TikTok, and more instant gratification media, where you have to watch a full episode to kind of get satisfying conclusion to the episode.
That's why I think, Craig, I probably, not that I view this more favorably than you, but I do like this movie a little bit because it is, like I said, just like a TOS episode. And having seen TOS this year for the first time, I love it. I even bought a bunch of Star Trek models, which I'll show off, which are pretty cool, the Enterprise. I have almost all the Enterprises, Craig. I'm missing the C.
Do you have the J?
No, I have
It's
the
the J. We should
original.
get.
I have the one from
Yeah, the
this
J.
movie to the third one, then the Enterprise A. I have the Enterprise B, the Enterprise D, and the Enterprise E. I have the Abrams one. I have the Excelsior too, Sulu ship. I have that too. Even though it's just the Enterprise B modified.
You should get the Enterprise J.
Well, I don't know if Eagle Moss makes that yet or if it came out yet. I don't know. I have
They
to
probably
see.
did.
I'll have to see. I'll have to see.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. I'll have to see what it looks like because I don't even know what the Enterprise C looks like.
Well, I bring up the J because it's definitely the funkiest looking one. It's got that traditional structure. It only appeared in one episode in the Star Trek Enterprise show itself, the one that takes place.
Oh, well, I know you have the original, the NX.
I do, because I got, except for the Voyager, I got a ship from all the shows. Well, actually, for Deep Space Nine, I got the Defiant. I didn't get
Yeah.
the Deep Space Nine space station. Also, didn't get the one for Voyager. I didn't like it. But yeah, the J is the funky looking one because slight spoilers if you ever watch it. But he goes to the future for an episode and he sees the Enterprise J.
Oh,
It's really funky looking.
interesting. But yeah, I think it was for Star Trek. I always feel like when there's a first movie of something, sometimes it's like a good start and it can improve. And I feel like they definitely took the criticism towards this movie and at least made it better for the sequel.
Yeah.
And also, it probably didn't help at the time that people were probably expecting something like a Star Wars, where it's a lot more action packed than this, where we see beauty passes of the Enterprise and then the 82 AU length of V'ger. A lot more slow burn, but I think it still has enough in it where it's enjoyable a little bit. They definitely could have cut out like 20 minutes, 20, 25 minutes. Make the pacing a little better. And it isn't like you said, the best kind of idea with V'ger, but I still think it definitely falls in line with what Star Trek is.
Yeah, it's really the only thing that it does feel like a Star Trek episode at the end of the day.
Well, I will
Because
say this. Yeah, you go first and I'll say something.
actually, you go first.
I was going to say, I would definitely take this over the Abram movies. Because those are just mindless sci-fi explosion. Not even sci-fi, like essentially fantasy explosions in
It's
space.
talk about magic blood all
Yeah.
the time.
I prefer this over the two Abram ones.
Because I do defend Star Trek Beyond. I do like that one.
Yeah, I like Star Trek Beyond too. I have a poster of it.
I know people try to lump it in with the other Abrams ones. I'm like, okay, guys, it's not that bad.
Well, don't worry, Craig. We'll eventually get to Beyond because I think we're going to do all the Star Trek movies at least. Because I do like Star Trek a lot. I think we grew up Star Wars fans. I won't even say maybe fans, but as a kid, I saw Star Wars a lot more. And Star Wars, if anyone wasn't alive in the early 2000s, it was the thing.
Well, it was everywhere. You had
All the toys
Phantom
everywhere.
all the three movies from 99 to 05, which we were watching. I remember the original Clone Wars TV show on Cartoon
Yes.
Network.
Yes.
The guy who did Samurai Jack did that. Then they had the CGI. I'm like, what is that? I don't like this.
But I think I'm done with Star Wars. I've been done with Star Wars, honestly, when Beyond came out. So I'm glad I'm seeing all the Star Trek stuff. I'm going to try to finish TNG by the time we do those movies. Because I'm only on season 2.
Yeah, that's going to be a long road for you.
But I love TOS. TOS is great. I can see why it created such a cult following. And the movie, to wrap things up, Craig, unless you got anything else for me.
I do have one more thing.
Okay, go for it.
I've recommended to Daniel and you to watch Futurama, not just because I think it's a decent show, but they have a lot of Star Trek references. And there was an episode where they had made fun of the V'ger. Instead of
did they?
coming to Earth to come back to its creator to find purpose, it came back to the censor. It was doesn't matter what the plot was, it was just funny. They had a whole episode dedicated to the V'ger from Star Trek the Motion Picture.
Ah.
There's a lot of episodes where there was an episode where they had the original Star Trek. I told Daniel to watch it when we did our review, Daniel to watch that episode. He never watched it.
Interesting.
They brought back all the cast except for Scotty, who refused, and then Bones, who died. It
Oh, okay.
was a
But
fun episode.
I definitely recommend this to any kind of Star Trek fan. It's not the best movie, as we said earlier. It has interesting ideas that weren't maybe fully realized or at least fully developed into being a little more entertaining. But at its core, it is Star Trek. It does feel like an episode. And that's why I probably like it, and you like it too. Maybe not as much as me. I'm not saying this is my favorite movie of Star Trek. It's not.
Well, would it be too soon to say where you would rank this?
I think I might put this in the B tier or C tier.
In relation to the other Star Trek movies.
Oh, that's tough. Well, I know that's what you meant. I don't want to spoil it, Craig, because we're going to get to those other movies.
All right, because I'm pretty sure what I've said before is, want me to say it again?
That's okay. You could save it.
Or you just rewatch the old review, but...
Yeah, that too. But we'll be doing Wrath of Khan after this, so you'll be excited for that, Craig. But unless there's anything else you have to say, this has been the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. I'm Colin.
I'm Craig.
We will see you next time.
Now, what do you suggest we do? Spank him.